Welcome back to Season 3 of How to Smash the Motherhood Penalty. This podcast is brought to you 100% by Works for Everyone, which is my business, Emma McLean. We are a professional development company that partners with New Zealand corporates to help them retain and grow their working parent talent. And we are so delighted to do that through leadership programs, executive coaching, and systemic change initiatives like this podcast and the New Zealand Part-Time Power List. So welcome aboard and thank you for listening. I have been loving talking to all the listeners who have reached out about how much they enjoyed Season 2, Making Space for Dads. And in this season, we're going to continue to mix it up. We've got some fantastic interviews coming up, all having the motherhood penalty at its heart, because we still need to talk about this. If you have enjoyed the podcast, please make sure you subscribe to it. Subscriptions don't cost anything, but it just means that you'll be the very first to know about the new episode that comes out. And if you are interested in more working parent content, come and follow me on Instagram, Works for Everyone. I often post working parent hints and tips and also video clips of these interviews. But enough about me. Back to my guests. See you soon. Welcome back to How to Smash the Motherhood Penalty. My name's Emma, I'm your host, and in this podcast I really try to seek down people that are trying to smash this motherhood penalty. And you know, working and having a family is hard, and I think all parents pay a penalty, but it's really this motherhood penalty that we want to get curious about. And today, I am delighted to have Nicole Retter here. Nicole is the founder of PAM, Personal Admin Manager, an app built to ease the mental load for overwhelmed parents, especially mums. Post-COVID, with 2 young kids, starting a new role and piling up life admin, Nicole hit breaking point. Cue everyone listening to this identifying with that. She wasn't alone in the struggle. Almost all of her smart, capable friends were struggling with the same burden. So she decided to do something about it. Like all clever women, give them a problem and they will solve it. With a background in digital and marketing, Nicole turned frustration into action and started PAM. Now helps thousands of families by doing the family admin and coordination heavy lifting and making what's left visible. So it's easier to share the load and build a village of support. Welcome, Nicole. I will get you to introduce yourself as well, but I'm really delighted to talk to you. And I know so many of my clients have really found PAM to be a useful addition to their family life.
Awesome. That's great.
So it's so good to talk to you. I'd love for you to introduce yourself in whatever way you'd love to, but because I am of the LinkedIn's, I do notice, I think you've won, I know, at least one award recently, and I think you need to tell the world about these. So please introduce yourself and tell me, what is the fame you have been getting?
Okay, so first of all, right now, I'm a mum like everyone else trying to survive school holidays. So I was just telling Emma that I've bribed my kids with copious amounts of screen time so I can have this meeting. I have to take them 10 from bowling after this in order to keep things that way. So I get the juggle. Like, it doesn't matter where you are in your career. It's hard for everyone. How can I think you did such a good job introducing me. I guess the main thing is that I just was really furious that this was such a problem for so many women, and I've spoken to hundreds, if not thousands of people, done lots of surveys, and 90% of the time women are still doing the majority of the household admin and coordination. Men are doing more than they've ever done. Like, I want to give props to the dads out there. Like, so many of them are like, they're coming on board, but also there's not a lot of visibility. So for the dads out there, like my husband, who wanted to help, he couldn't see where the gaps were. So what PAM has helped do is it's made the invisible load visible, so he can see all the little tiny steps in, I don't know, getting a kid to a birthday party, like RSVPing, like messaging one of the parents to ask what that kid's actually into this year, and all those steps. He can now see those. So when we're divvying up tasks, it's no longer stuff just naturally falls with me. Now it's hey, there's 20 tasks we need to divvy up. Let's figure out how we like spread these out. And it's just made such a difference to our relationship and how our household runs, which has been super, super important. Awards. Yeah. So last month, I won the Emerging Innovator at the Mataheko Awards in Christchurch, which, to be honest, I'm relatively comfortable public speaking, but I was absolutely shitting myself. I was such a nervous wreck. I've been to many award shows. I've run many award shows, but I've never actually been the person receiving it. And there is something really emotional about being recognized by your peers. And so that was really special, and like the coolest award ever. It glows in the dark, so we actually use it as a nightlight in my daughter's room now. It's so cool, and like the whole room goes purple. Yeah, and then recently, obviously, my face has been all over LinkedIn because I was a keynote at Electrify, and all the AV crashed on me, and so I had to like completely ad-lib, and it kind of turned out to actually make the talk. Like it actually added a whole lot of like chaos and fun, and people loved it. So
never work with technology or small children, and you're probably doing both. Yeah.
I know. Trying to keep animals out of it, but a lot of people do use Pam for like managing their dog. Like my brother has a dog that has doggy daycare multiple times a week, and they use it for managing who's picking up and all those things.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, wow. So again, a business born of a lived experience of a problem that you were furious about. And, you know, when I hear you talk that back around how it's improved your relationship, right? So it's got these added bonuses of that as well.
100%. There's a massive, and I don't talk about the kind of, I call it like the wolf in sheep's clothing, that Pam is here to do a whole lot of the admin, heavy lifting, and, you know, read all the emails for you and all the school newsletters, and that stuff makes life so much easier. But the wolf in sheep's clothing that I don't publicly market because it's not what draws people to get a product. But what it is really balancing up that load with partners. That makes a really big difference in your household.
So one thing I was curious about was, in my work, I talk a lot about the physical load and the cognitive load. And tell me about Pam. Tell me about where you are in your business. And just tell me, like, how can people get Pam? How much does it cost? If anything, give me a pitch to that first.
Okay, so like you talked about, Pam is basically about reducing the mental load on parents, predominantly mothers, who are carrying most of it. So Pam is a mixture of three things. It's a personal assistant. It is also a networking tool, so it helps you link in like friends, family, partners. And then the other part that it does is it makes everything kind of visible. It's like incredible scheduling systems and software, but in a really, really simple interface. So there are other tools trying to do one or two of these kind of key tools, but they're really hard to use. So what Pam does is it's literally pretty much one screen. It just tells you what you need to do today. It thinks about the steps you need to do for tomorrow and makes sure you never drop a ball. So all the emails from school, all the app notifications, one of the key things that parents, particularly women, seem to really love is we've got a tool called Brain Dump, where you can literally either type or I just talk, and you can talk to Pam and tell her all the things that are in your head. I need to get a new prescription for my HRT. I need to get new socks for football for Mayhana. I need to, and just verbal diarrhea, all the stuff. And Pam will go, and turn that into a list of tasks and events and put it into your calendar for you. So all those post-it notes that you're walking around with in your head are now tucked away safely in a tool that will remind you when you need to do them and loop in anyone else who needs to give a hand with it. And that really takes a lot of the mental load off. So Pam is available in both app stores, so Google or Android or Apple. At the moment, it's totally free. We will be moving into a freemium model, so there'll always be a free version of Pam because I didn't just create this for people who could afford, you know, like for me, it's really important that everyone has access to it. But there will be a premium version that has kind of features that people might want to pay for, like looping. You know, at the moment you can sync in all your like Google calendars, your Outlook calendar, your work calendar, so your partner's Google calendar, so everything all ends up in one place. So that will probably be a very premium paid feature, but everyone gets access to Pam, like the Pam brain that does the thinking for you. Everyone gets that. And the whole point of Pam is keeping life simple for you. So we have this filter that every single thing we do for Pam goes through. And it's, if what we're building right now does not reduce the mental load on a parent, I don't care how sexy or flashy or if it's going to get me money or investment, it does not go into the product. And so we're really ruthless on what does and does not go into the product, and how we continue. Like I make my poor co-founder jump through loop after loop doing things the hard way, because I'm like, no, I had to think to do that. Make it easier for me. Make it easier for parents. So that's a really important part that we really focus on.
Yeah, because it's true, right? Because sometimes you don't want the act of getting this into Pam to be another thing on your mental load,
No,
right?
no, exactly. And
Yeah.
and so, you can onboard yourself in 90 seconds. You can literally open the app, tell it, your kids have got something on Wednesday, someone's got ballet on Thursday, you have meetings on this time, and you open it and it's all in your calendar. And you can sync your other calendar and it's done. So within 2 minutes, you can have your whole life in Pam. And people constantly send messages going, holy shit, this is magic. Like instantly, all the stuff in my head is just somewhere safe and really looked after. And so many, I don't want there to be any learning. Like we actually don't educate you on how to use Pam because it's so simple. Like there should be zero learning curve. That's the whole point.
Yeah, so it's not another thing like, okay, well, I've got this app, I'll work out how to use it later. And do you know what I mean? Like you're just saying it's just like you can just dive straight in and be getting value straight away.
Oh, my 76-year-old mother uses it. Oh God, I hope she doesn't listen to this podcast. And we all take turns at being like IT support for her because it's a hard job. And she's using it. She has, after like 60 years of being like wedded to her paper diary, thrown that out the window, and she uses Pam. And if she can figure it out, anyone can use it.
And so I don't have it yet, and that's only because my life has become a lot easier when my children are much older now. But
although we have so many, so are they teenagers or are they kind of empty nester stuff?
A little bit of both. Yeah.
Yeah. We find lots of people using it. Like I thought that Pam was just for parents who had, primary school age kids. And that is absolutely not the case. We have so many, probably a quarter of our parents are parents with teenagers who like they have to know what their teenagers are up to, but there's kind of this, like you're running your life, but I kind of need to know what you're up to. It's sort of like, and a lot of people are finding it really helpful to kind of be like, oh, well, now we all know when we need to be on the same page, like tonight's family dinner, or we're going away this weekend, or you need carpooling to football, or whatever it happens to be.
Like a family hub, like whatever age. Yeah, I love
totally.
That. And so, do you think it helps to share the mental load? Can you allocate owners to things? Like if I'm like, okay, we've got to figure out when early bird registrations for football close at Three Kings football, can I then say, and put this on blah blah's calendar?
Yeah.
Or how does it work?
So there's tagging in it, right? So say you get an email from the football club saying, there's registrations coming. You just forward that to Pam and you be like, tag child A, tag partner B. And then it just tags them in their calendars. And that's a really important part around the tagging, right? Is that I wanted to have a system where if I wanted to, I could look at everything that everyone has on. But I also wanted a system where I go, I actually don't need to carry the load of what my husband is looking after or what my mother is looking after. I just want to carry the load of what I'm looking after when it comes to my family. So I just filter by myself a lot of the time and go, here's all my work meetings. Here's all my commitments in the family. This is all I actually need to give my mental energy to. My husband is looking after the football game on Saturday. I don't need to give any mental energy to that because he knows he has it. It's in his Pam calendar. All the details are in there. He doesn't need to ask me questions like, what field is it? What do I need to take? Because all the information is in there. I'm no longer the centralized project manager for my family. It's all distributed. So if you own a task, you've got all the information about it. And it did take a couple of weeks. Like when my husband first came on board, he'd go, oh, so I'm taking Bowie to that birthday party. What's the address? It's in Pam. And the number of times I said it's in Pam when I could have defaulted to telling him, now he doesn't even ask me. And he'll often, we hear this a lot anecdotally from other families using it. My husband turned up to an appointment for my daughter I hadn't even told him about because he saw it in Pam and decided that he wanted to come along and support her. It's giving partners, and I don't want to stereotype too much, but a lot of the times it's giving men the opportunity to opt into more things, which is really awesome, as opposed to you don't have, like, I don't have to nag anymore. I don't have to dictate. It's like, this is how we've decided to split the load. And it's completely different.
Yeah, it's, as you say, it's making it visible. So when things are visible, they have more value. What about like, so for example, in that football situation, if you are partnered with a man, if your partner is actually the football manager, so he's the manager of your kid's football team, and he needs to communicate out with 40 million other parents around fields and all that kind of stuff. Can you use Pam for that as well? Like
At the
how,
so at the moment, it's very household focused.
yeah,
So it's very much kind of me, my kids, my husband, my mother, like a nanny. The next step is it's going to be multi-household focus. So you go,
yeah,
okay, here's my household. Here's my friend over here called Gemma and her kids who are best friends of mine. Let's have a kind of a connection because our kids go to all the same sports, all the same things. So we can carpool and see where each other needs support. There is a step further, which is kind of going groups and neighborhoods where Pam can actually start hosting events and actually sharing information out to other things. But what we do have as a kind of midterm option is Pam has a sync with things like WhatsApp. So you can actually, if you are talking in a WhatsApp channel, you can send that stuff directly to Pam. Pam reads it, and then so I love the manager of my kids' football team. She's actually a good friend. She's really awesome, but she speaks in paragraphs, not in bullet points. And so she'll send a paragraph that actually has 5 or 6 actions in it, and my brain just doesn't. It just goes, oh, there's a game. I don't pick up all the little intricate details. So I just send it to Pam, and Pam goes, oh, here you go. You've got to buy new shin guards. There's a football game here. There's a tournament
you're
here.
on oranges.
There's a photo thing here. And it just puts and like takes all that mental load of me trying to decipher what I need to do. She just tells me what needs to be done.
Amazing. Well, it's like when you talk about the way that it's going to be sort of expanded, it's like building your village again, isn't it?
Exactly.
Really?
And there's that's like, if you boil Pam down to like its real essence, right, is that up until 100, 200 years ago, we all lived in the villages, right? And you could see your mum across the road or your sister over the fence or your brother around the corner, what everyone had on, and everyone could just kind of lend a hand. And we don't have that anymore. We have this nuclear family that does not work. Every family I know who doesn't have localized family, like extended family support, really, really struggle and go under. And so it's going, actually, but I have these incredible humans in my life, these incredible friends who live in the same neighborhood, whose kids are doing the same things, who are really willing to help each other, but we can't see where the gaps are. And that's what Pam does. It makes this kind of village through using digital tools. And yes, Pam is focused on families, but there is a future where Pam can, and we do have people using Pam for things like there's someone with a severe illness in a family and they don't have any children, they've got like growing up children, and they're managing like chemo appointments and who's taking who where. And we've got people using it for elderly parents, for who's checking in on mum tonight. And so it really is like its core essence is just about building a village of support and sharing the load.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, I think you're solving a real problem. So I think you should be, I hope you are proud of yourself. And I know it's a big journey. We met, I saw what you were doing some time ago and I thought it was
I think
awesome.
it was about a year ago we had it. First kind of.
Yeah, we met about a year ago. And controversially, I said to you, I didn't like your name. And I said, because I think you're solving a real problem that will make a big difference for families. But I was just really curious as to why it was given a female name, because caregiving is so gendered still, and it's really hard to shift these stubborn norms around women. And now potentially we've got, a female AI doing it all for you. So I wanted you to share your thoughts on that.
Okay, and so I think between now and then I've probably been able to articulate that a bit better. I think right then I was kind of like, there's a whole lot of reasons. And since then I probably, I have like a lot of these have kind of really settled and resolved. I mean, the initial thing is Pam is based on a combination of me and my mother. So there's a reason why she has wild brown curly hair and glasses and wears bright colours. But also Pam she's not like an admin assistant as much. She's a really brilliant technical expert who takes chaos and uses really intense smarts to whip it into this amazing lifestyle and calendar for you. So it's so much more than kind of Pam's just an assistant who you just kind of throw things at. Pam is a really trusted, intelligent person who really supports you. And so I think that women are underrepresented in technology, and in like drastic innovation, and Pam is both of those things. So I'm really proud that actually we're putting a woman into that role. Well, an avatar, if you will, like a character. There are some other things around that we did lots of talking with users and things like that, and the thought of AI, some people are a little bit uncomfortable with, which is why we talk about Pam as being like a human as opposed to just
I
talking
think
about.
some people call you Pam, don't they?
Oh, all the time. So much. And I just roll with it now. There's just no point.
I think deed poll's easier. Just change your name.
Yeah, 100%. And we did talk about like, oh, well, should we have options for people to choose other ones? And maybe one day there'll be a Dan or something like that in Pam. But for now, women feel really safe and comfortable with the idea of an auntie figure. And we're talking about your children's movements. We're talking about where your children are going to be, all the information about their details. And women who are the predominant ones who are initially starting to use Pam feel much more comfortable sharing this with the idea of an auntie female figure. And so, yes, I completely understand the whole, I don't want to perpetrate the stereotype. The whole idea of Pam is actually rebalancing out this kind of load, right? Like taking this load off a woman. But at the same time, we needed to create something that women felt intrinsically comfortable with to use, that actually worked really well in terms of where do you feel safe. And there's this real interesting thing where women, not just women, but parents, if you were going to be handing off sort of some of this kind of really important information, you wanted it to be to someone that you could resonate with, that you could relate with. And so having this kind of funky, cool, really smart auntie figure just really fit the bill for us. There was never any, we did play around with kind of like having these other things. And I looked at, the number of like little like gender neutral robot AI avatars you see. And I was like, people, like, it doesn't resonate. And I think, like you said, the majority of people doing this work are women. And I actually wanted to recognize that, but be like, it would be weird to go, actually, we're going to put a man doing this incredible work when actually it is women who are renowned for doing this stuff well. But Pam is there to help spread that load, to actually really change that balance.
Thank you. I mean, when I hear you talk that back, it feels like to me it's an important part of the brand experience of how you can build trust with your audience. So I hear that. What's your hope for Pam in terms of what role will Pam have in trying to smash the motherhood penalty and put dents in the system that creates it? What do you think?
Yeah, I would like families to have Pam from day one, because what happens is, and this is my assumption, I could be incorrect, but my assumption is that women carry a baby, often need to physically feed the baby off their bodies with breastfeeding. And so you become the default carer, right? And that's just what happens. And that's okay if you're, for those first few months or 6 months or year or whatever it wants to be, where you want to be that person. 100% if you want, well, everyone gets to choose their own part in that. But what really pisses me off is the minute that women start going back into the workforce, they stay the default carer. So anything to do with school, anything to do with medical, anything to do with the family or household stays in their camp. A little bit sometimes trickles over, but you are the default and you have to ask someone else for support. And it should never be that way. So what I would like Pam to do is from day one, go, these are all the things that need to be done. We then have a discussion on how we split them. It's not, there's no default parent. And I know that my co-founder is a really involved dad. He took, I think, 18 months off to be a full-time dad when his kids were quite young. And he would get furious because no matter how many times he put his name at the top of the form when they were at preschool or school, if something happened, mum got the phone call. And he was like, it automatically assumed that she's the default parent. And I think that's what I want Pam to do, is I want us to move away from going, women are the default parent. It's like, actually, no, there's two parents who are both managing these tasks. And depending on what the task is, it falls on a different parent.
I love that. So starting from probably even starting from before you have the baby, right? It needs to be something like when someone leaves work, they get given some kind of a, I don't know, like link or gift certificate or something with Pam, right? That you build it in from there. Yeah.
And we're talking about actually doing like a corporate offer, going, actually, this is a really great way for corporates to get their team back and actually get them back in a, they're not turning up late stressed out because they forgot to take I don't know, swimming gear to swimming today, that all that stuff is taken care of and the mental load is less. So actually you get happier, more productive team members who are sharing the load more evenly in their relationship. So you don't necessarily, and that can be between women, like, we have a lot of queer families using our product. So it's not just men, women. You find that instead of one partner being completely overloaded and the other one kind of like being resented, to be honest, because and they don't even know half of what you've got on, you get this. And so both of you are parents, but neither of you are, one's not completely struggling while you have that, like, I had such a shock when we had children, because before we had children, I was by far the biggest bread earner in our household. And it just went like this. It just went like this constantly. And I just was blown away how all of a sudden my husband was earning twice as much as me over the period of me raising young children.
So that leads me to my next question. Do you think you've paid the motherhood penalty?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's an interesting thing, right? Like, there's a choice in that sometimes as well. So I chose to not pause my career, but I chose to slow down my career when I had children, because I wanted to spend more time with them. I wanted to really, be able to do the pickups and the drop-offs and not work the 50 hours a week. That was a choice. But I didn't choose to pick up all the slack of everything else. I didn't choose to be a housewife. And by default, you're home, so you do all those things. And so it really does give your partner a leg up. Like, I feel like my husband's career soared when we had young children, because he had a supportive partner at home who just took care of everything else. And that's where I think I chose to maybe do this, but I ended up down here. I would have liked to have gone, oh, okay, well, I've chosen this, as opposed to having to go, yeah, I've chosen to take some time away from work because I want to spend time with my children. I didn't choose to also be in charge of like, when you're at home with babies, for some reason, everyone thinks you're the perfect person to sort their car warrant out. Like, oh, you can drop me off to get my warrant, can't you? And you're like, why am I doing this for 5 members of my family? Like, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's complicated, isn't it? It's like, and also I think that a lot of mums and dads, but a lot of mums want to help people. And so we often say yes to those things, don't we? Even though it's right during our baby's sleep time, and we go, why am I at a warrant station when my baby should be asleep?
Yeah, and that could have been, like, I know a lot of mums who, and I've actually hired a lot of them, who incredibly competent women, had amazing careers, and then became mothers, had probably 2 children. So it ended up being like a 5-year time, maybe not working in a particular career type role, who are terrified to go back because they feel like they've lost all their skills. And like, the confidence, I think that's a big part of the motherhood penalty, is that actually these women, I'm like, you're so smart. And honestly, within a week of doing work with Pam, you see their confidence just overflow. And then a lot of these women have done like part-time work for me, and then have gone on to have really amazing careers and get really fantastic roles. But I do think a big part of the motherhood penalty is that you completely lower. Like, I remember at one point being like, oh, who am I? Am I still relevant? Will people still pay for me? And you do. So then you go for like lesser jobs, and because you might need to have more flexibility, you go for a slightly lesser and a lesser role, and all of a sudden you've penalized yourself a whole lot of times as well.
Without really thinking about it.
Yeah.
Well, and also to your point, framing it up as a choice as well. I mean, it's not, I think this word choice is like, it's not always, it's sometimes, I mean, it's brutal. It's brutal.
And when I say choice, I also need to caveat that's a real privilege to be able to choose. Like, a lot of women have zero choice. Their baby's 3 months old, they're back full time, and they're paying more money in childcare than they're earning. Like, I was really lucky to be able to have that choice to stay home and do, and also because of the career I had, I did contract work the whole way through having my babies, but I did maybe 10 to 20 hours a week at night when they were asleep. And so I was really lucky that I had that flexibility. And I know that that's a massive privilege that so many people don't have. So for me, it was a choice. But for a lot of others, it's not.
Yeah, and it's complicated. You mean, we don't start out like, you don't have a baby and think, hey, let's have a baby so I can put my career behind 5 years and yours can soar.
I'd actually be really interested to see, like, if there's research, like, there's a lot of research done on, like, whether there is, but like around the motherhood penalty. But actually, is there like a fatherhood, like, benefit?
There is research. It's called the fatherhood bonus.
Yeah.
And it's real. And it's mainly driven by the fact that men who are fathers are more likely to be promoted than men who are not fathers. And it's kind of the reverse for women.
And but are they more likely to be promoted because they're able to put more into work because the whole home life has been taken care of?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and again, it's not a beat up on men or women. It's this
No.
whole system we are working in. And it's all good if you are in a relationship. That's good, but if the relationship ends through death or divorce, it is financially devastating. And that's the thing that I am really passionate about in my work, really.
No, and it's not a beat up on men. Like, I should say that a huge proportion of the people who initially sign up for PAM are men. They're looking for a solution to fix this in their households. And when I've done research with men and women, they have very different pain points. But for men, their second top pain point was seeing their partners distressed, and they wanted to help out more, but they didn't know how.
Wow.
So there's some really amazing people like men out there who want to do more, but just need to find a way to do it. And PAM has been really helpful for them.
That's amazing. I love that. It's really hard for dads. It's really hard for dads to know what their role is.
Yeah, 100%. Especially like in those first years, right? Where I remember my husband saying he felt like completely useless. It was like the babies only wanted you. I couldn't feed them. It was like I could make you food, but that was kind of it. And like it's really difficult for them to find their kind of footing, I think, in those early years.
Yeah. Love that. So Nicole, when you think about the motherhood penalty and you think about how even in 2025 this experience seems to be different for mums as it is for dads when they re-enter the workforce after having kids, I really love your idea around legislation to ensure that PAM is with every prospective parent. But what other society things do you think need to change so that there is more equity with how mums and dads experience working and having a family?
I think there's a whole lot of stuff around as an employer. You need to allow flexibility to parents, but you need to have the same expectations of men being fathers as women being mothers. I know that a lot of males will feel really uncomfortable saying, hey, like if I ask my husband to take days off with sick kids, he's like, oh, yeah, okay, but it's harder for him. He feels like it's asking more than when it's expected as me as mother to take time off when my kids are sick. For him, it feels like he's asking a bit more somehow. Like, I think the expectation needs to be like, actually, all parents need flexibility, and we're all like, and actually men need to be allowed to be highly involved fathers. Let dad take the afternoon off to go to athletics, as opposed to kind of be like, really? I just think, and I do think these things are changing. I absolutely believe that things, compared to when my babies were little, so 7-9 years ago, to parents that I'm seeing now, I feel like every generation and every kind of movement, you see more. Like, I walk around my neighborhood and there are dads with front packs on midweek and pushing prams. And when I saw that 10 years ago, it was like, oh, and you would kind of try to figure out what their life situation was. You're like, oh, I wonder, like, has he lost his job? When now it's like, oh, sweet, okay, there's just an active dad who is sharing the load.
I love that flexibility, but for all genders. Right?
Yes.
So important.
Well, we keep talking about like mums need more flexibility. It's like, piss off, because then they end up doing all the stuff. We all need more flexibility. If you just gave everyone 15% flexibility as opposed to mum 30%, everyone would be more productive, it's just.
And I think when we see dads doing flexible work, doing reduced hour work, the benefit is that it destigmatizes it for women as well, right? And I think for a lot of my dads that are doing that, I say that they are groundbreaker dads because other men are watching them. Men that may not be parents yet, men that are dads but want to do this but still feel really scared about asking for it.
Yeah. And it's little things. Like, me and my husband discussed a while ago that, yes, I generally work from home, but school holidays don't mean that I automatically get the children. And that was what was happening. By default, I worked from home, so I got the children the whole time. I mean, they went to school holiday programs, we had grandparents, but any other day was on me, which was a lot of days. And I was just losing my mind by the end of the holidays. So now the negotiation is we both take one day off a week where the kids have got school holidays. So I took off Monday, he takes off Friday, and the other 3 days we fill with grandparents and school holiday programs and play dates and things like that. But he has to take off one day every week of the school holidays and be with his kids. And that's completely reasonable. And that's something that and now his boss won't even blink at that. Like, that's just part of what we've figured out actually works as a system. It's not I'm the default and I have to beg him to watch the kids while I've got meetings, and that doesn't work. Yeah, it's prioritizing his work over mine, you know?
Yeah, and what I love about that story as well is you guys have had a conversation, you've agreed this, and then that is the template. So it's not like every school holiday you're having to renegotiate that. You're kind of going, that's just the way our family rolls. So we're in the middle of school holidays now. What I'm curious about in your family is, you know, you both take a day off, and then it's school holiday programs and grandparents. Who owns that master schedule though? Like, is that still one person, or is it the cognitive load of what will we do with Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? How does that work for you guys?
And that's a really good point. I do still own the planning of that.
Yeah.
I do think naturally I'm much better at that stuff in our relationship. Like, I don't think now, I would have said before, I don't think now that that's a gendered thing. I think now that I'm a planner and he is not. So he would get to Sunday night and go, oh, what are the kids doing tomorrow? And that's just he's just not as much of a planner. But that's a really good point. You know, like, actually, instead of me sitting down and going, okay, which holiday programs am I going to send the kid to? When I go, I'll do 1 week, you do the other. You know, that's actually probably a progression of what we've discovered, that I'm going to go, okay, I'm going to plan out week 1. You take 1 day off, I take 1 off. You plan out week 2. So that's probably actually a progression that we could move towards, because I am still doing the cognitive load of which friends are at which school holiday program, therefore
which
and the
one
budgeting of my kids.
And the everything, and also as your kids get older, mine just used to refuse to do things as well. So it's like this, like the negotiation. Like
It's got to be like, this many friends are going to this one, so therefore you can go to it, and 100%.
I think school holidays, for everyone who's listening, is a really good one to have a think about if you are partnered, because it's not the act of taking the kid to the program. It's the thinking about what they're going to go on. It's enrolling them. As you say, it's coordinating with other people. And it is a very good thing to own. To put on Pam at the end of next week, hey, can you own the next school holidays?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
because we have a reminder that comes up for all families, and Pam being like, based on your localized, like what country you're in, what state you're in, depending on where you live, school holidays are starting in 3 weeks, you need to get planning done. And that comes up for everyone. So it doesn't just come up for, you know, so that's a really good point, that actually this should be something that the planning of it is as much split, you know, as opposed to the actual, like, the doing of it is a good step in the right direction, but you're right, the planning of it is very much a really important step.
Yeah, I mean, I always do a little poll on my Instagram account, who's organised school holidays?
Yeah, I suspect that's pretty strong in one,
Honestly, it was one of the most painful experiences of my life, school holidays. But
once you get it, like,
a whole other workshop.
Totally. Yeah. Now that we've got a system, and it's like, first week I take off Monday, you take off Friday. They go to these school holiday programs with their friends. Second week I take off Monday, you take off Friday. They go to grandparents for 3 days. Yeah. We kind of have a system. Sometimes it flexes depending on, like, maybe we'll go for a family weekend away or something like that. But generally we kind of, although now that I'm flying all over the place for work and stuff, it's a little bit all up in the air, but we generally kind of work to that template.
Yeah, love it. Finally, Nicole, if I gave you a magic wand, and I mean, you know, you're probably going to have a Pam suggestion, so you could maybe have 2 magic wands.
Sure.
If I give you a magic wand, and, you know, you as a entrepreneur who is trying to make things easier for parents, you as a mum, what do you think what could be the biggest thing that would really smash the system that penalises mothers over fathers? What do you reckon is the biggest thing we could do?
I think, I mean, of course it's a Scandinavian country that does, and I can't remember which one it is, but they give, you get a year, 6 months maternity and 6 months paternity leave. So dads do 6 months of that first year of baby's life. And so both of their careers have taking 6 months off is very different to taking a year to 18 months off. And so I think there's something really amazing in that where men take half of And if you don't take it, you lose it type thing. So it's a really strong encouragement for men to actually all become like a default parent for a period of time, and therefore you go into it really even for the rest of your parenting, I assume. I think that's like in our current government that's not likely to happen, but I think that's a really really interesting model in terms of like a wave a magic wand. I think that would completely blitz the stereotypes and give men a completely different relationship with their children, you know, because it is an honor to be, you know. But like my husband had huge pain in those early years when my children would get hurt and they would literally run past him and run 100 meters down the road to me if they could, if they cried, if they needed to go to bed, if they were sick, they only wanted me. And that was like, you just see this look on his face, he'd be like, you know, I don't want dad, I want you. And I was like, you know, and by the 300th time they hear that in a month, it's pretty awful. So I think that would be really special. And I think flexibility across, everyone deserves flexibility, not just parents. Everyone deserves, and what I think flexibility is trust. It's trusting the people who work for you. It's going, these people are going to do their job regardless if I let them figure out how to do it around their life, like what they've got in their life. And what's it called? Instead of work lifestyle balance, it's work lifestyle integration. And I think that's a really important one, that actually when I'm at work I am still a mum, and when I'm at home I am still a business owner. So I can't completely separate them, but finding a way to merge them that works really well for both halves of my life.
I love that. So equal paid parental leave, flexibility for all, work-life integration. Right?
Oh, and everyone has Pam, of course. Like Pam
that goes without saying.
Yeah. That goes without saying. Everyone has Pam, so that well, and because Pam actually, like the parents who have been using it, so 25% of the parents who've been using Pam for a period of time said that they've reduced their stress around family coordination admin by 70 to 90%. Like that is drastic changes in your level of stress. When we were talking to parents in the very early days, particularly mums, 60% of mums were saying their stress was around, you know, either very or extremely high because of juggling all these balls. Like it seems insignificant, you know, like, oh no, you forgot togs for swimming. Oh, your kid has to come dressed as a book character today. Oh, there's a bake sale tomorrow. But it's a death by 1,000 cuts, all those little bits and pieces. And then when you can't keep track of them because it's just a never ending, just hurricane of communications, you just completely lose your shit and burn out. So that's what Pam does, is Pam takes all those chaos and puts it into somewhere nice and simple so you know what you need to do. But yeah, I just think that everyone needs to give themselves a pat on the back and a break, because this is hard mahi. And I think if you're worried that you're not doing a good job, you're probably doing a bloody good job. It's the people who don't care that probably aren't, you know? And we all need support. No, like it is such an unreasonable load that we're carrying, where everyone needs support.
Oh, that's amazing. Tēnā koe, Nicole. What a beautiful, beautiful conversation, and a great way to leave it. I mean, I totally agree with you. They can sound like small things, but they're not.
No.
And my whole thing is, if we didn't have this ongoing ticker tape in our brain, what might we be capable of?
Well, I built a business.
My friends, is exactly what I'm talking about. This is like we need a way of being able to expand the contribution we want to have to our lives. Do you know what I mean? So I love that.
Yeah, 100%.
Thank you so much, Nicole. That was awesome.
Cool. Oh, that was really cool. I'm glad we got to have a chat.
Yay! See you.
All right, see you later. Bye.
This podcast was funded by Works for Everyone, a business that is dedicated to supporting working parents and to smashing the motherhood penalty. If this is also your jam, let's stay connected. We're on Facebook and Instagram. Just look for us, Works for Everyone. And if you want more information on how we help businesses put a care wrap around their employees, check us out on worksforeveryone.co.nz. Or if none of these work for you, in the weekends you can find me, Emma McLean, the founder of Works for Everyone, in the queue at Pack and Save Royal Oak or Kmart St Luke's. Onwards!